It's Wolf back again with another CD review. Today, I'm going to look at Suicide Squad, the album. Now, before I start talking about this one, just want to give you guys a bit of a heads up, kind of as to I'm trying a bit of a different format with the CD reviews. I usually would write like little scripts out for these, and then it hit me that as I did the reviews, usually I never actually looked at the scripts, so what was the point in writing them? And I figure that it just saves me time if I don't write one and just do the review like usual, because I barely ever looked at the scripts anyway. So yeah, anyway though, let's jump into that. So if it seems at all messier, I mean otherwise the process is the same, but I want to try to do this to cut down on how long it takes to make these so I can make more of them. Anyway though, Suicide Squad the album. So this was released alongside the movie a couple years ago. It's one of those sort of situations where it's like songs from and inspired by the movie. Features a variety of artists and a variety of both original songs and songs that were previously released by the artists themselves. So as for the outside art, like usual, on the front you can see Suicide Squad the album in like a really similar style to how the movie had all of its stuff done with the same font, I believe. And you also have all the skulls from the characters in the movie. And as I go through the album, you'll also see that they have skulls for like the artists and stuff. But you have all the skulls for the characters in the movie. I believe that's all of them, but I'm not 100% sure as to if it's every single one. I haven't seen the movie since it came out. Then on to the side of it, you just have Suicide Squad, the album. And I mean, that does its purpose, tells you what it is if you're looking at it from the side. There's not really much else to add to that because it's not just one particular artist. And I feel like if you're buying this album, you kind of have an idea of what you're getting since it's a movie soundtrack, kind of. It's not really a soundtrack, like I said, it's one of those songs from sort of things. Then on the back, you have a track list, and like I say in pretty much every single review, track lists are always a really good thing, especially for an album like this that has so many artists on it. So it tells you what songs and who they're performed by, which is nice. As you can also probably see, maybe, I'm not sure, the pictures from this were taken a while ago before I got my really nice camera, but there's asterisks next to a few of the songs, which would, every song that those are next to, that song wasn't in the film. And that's kind of not like 100% true, because Bohemian Rhapsody, performed by Panic at the Disco, was in the film, but wasn't in the actual film itself. It was in the credits, if I remember right. And then otherwise, you also just have all of the info about, the producers and, the Atlantic Records, all the kind of general stuff. Kind of interesting, if you look down at the bottom there, you actually have like a PG-13 rating on there, which is kind of funny because like that's for the movie, I believe. It's not, it's a film rating, not an album rating, and there's a parental advisory on here, but it's just kind of funny how they have like all the film info down in the bottom left if you look there. And as for the track list, as you can see from it, there's a lot of big names on there, and so that's pretty cool. They got a lot of really like big bands and big rappers and stuff like that on this album, along with a mix of a few smaller ones. So it's a really good balance of music, and there's like, songs that are different genres, sort of. You have some that are heavier on rap, you have some that are heavier on like not really rock but kind of punk. I mean, like 21 Pilots isn't a rap group is what I'm getting at. They're more along the lines of like a rock group, but they're not exactly rock. You guys, you'll see the artists and you know what I mean, like that it's varied. In particular, Sucker for Pain is the most like, there's so many people on that song, and it's kind of crazy. Also, the first time I'd ever have seen Imagine Dragons on a song with X-Ambassadors. It's quite the power group for that song. But anyway, opening up the jewel case, you will see that we have the CD. It's pink, which kind of makes it stand out, similar to how the green and stuff also does. It's the whole colors of, the Joker and all that stuff. And I mean, it fits, it's straight to the point, tells you it's Suicide Squad the album, gives you a little bit more, info around the side or around the outside of it and everything, as CDs tend to do. There's not really a whole lot to say about that. I think it's kind of nice that they went with the generic pink, well, not generic pink, but like general pink on there rather than trying to like shove anything on there, because I think it could have looked cluttered. And I think, I haven't really said it yet, but the art style of the whole Suicide Squad thing does look kind of cluttered sometimes in general, not only for this album, but also for the artwork for the movie itself. It, at times it was a little bit much because it just looked, it was supposed to look thrown together just like the actual group is, but at times it looks almost messy. But they avoided that with the CD by just making it pink. Then onto the CD, again, Suicide Squad, the album. Not really too much else to say about that one. As for the insert, you have first off, you have all of the skulls for the different artists in here. So that's really cool that they made all of them their own little skulls like they did with the characters from the film. And I think it's really cool because they all fit in some way to the artist, and I think it just looks cool, and it's just cool that they did that. Although looking at it now, I don't see skulls for a few people on here. Looking at it now, I'm noticing that I think that the only people who have skulls on here were people who contributed original music to this soundtrack. Because if you look at it, you'll notice that Eminem is missing, and he had one of the bigger songs on the soundtrack, along with a Skull for War. And both of the songs that they contributed to this album were not original. They were already released in other forms before. So that's kind of interesting. And then on the inside of it, it folds out. On the other side, opposite of the skulls, whatever, you guys will see the picture, has all of the song names, who they're performed by, the info about them, all that stuff. The general info that you usually see about music in an insert. So if you need to find that info, I guess. I always say that it's a good thing to have that info in there, but I feel like rarely does anybody need to know who, like, a producer is on a song, but whatever. So yeah, that's the actual artwork. Now getting to what I think of the album, it's good. I mean, it fit. A lot of the songs were really well used in the film when it came out. I know I'm like 3 years late to the party on this, but I remember that they did use the songs from this album that were in the movie very well. They always fit pretty well into the scenes, I felt. And I mean, some people just hate the movie in general, so they hate everything about it. But, I didn't think it was bad. As for the actual music, I mean, like, outside of the film, this stands alone as not even a pretty good album, a really good album. There's a lot of good songs on here from a lot of good artists. It's a variety of people, too, so there's multiple things. There's a few songs on here that are, like, exclusive to this album, I believe, like Heathens from 21 Pilots never got released in another form. Quite a few of the songs that were on this album never got released on, like, an artist album. So this is a compilation, too, of songs that you aren't necessarily going to find anywhere else unless they were released before this album was released. So it's cool, and I think that one of the unique things about movie soundtracks, especially superhero movie soundtracks, is they get some of the most unique but best combination of artists, like I was saying with Sucker for Pain. Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, Imagine Dragons, Logic, Ty Dolla $ign, and the X Ambassadors is quite the mishmash of different groups, but it's also such a good mishmash of different groups and people. And I think that you can kind of see that throughout this album. And yeah, I mean, I think that you could probably find it on Spotify and stuff. I know that some of the artists, after the album came out, uploaded their songs to their YouTube channels and stuff. So it's out there. You can find some of these songs pretty easily before you actually go and buy the album. I would suggest it. I would say if you like pretty much any artist on this album, to buy the album, because you'll almost definitely like other songs on it. And yeah, I mean, I've pretty much been rambling on for however long about it, but it's a really good album, and I still listen to some of the stuff off of it every now and again now. And one more note on the variety of artists on here. Another nice thing about this album is that there aren't any artists that are... I don't think any of the artists on here are on more than one song, which is nice because then you don't have that repetitive nature that some other superhero albums, superhero movie, soundtrack albums, whatever, have kind of had. And I haven't reviewed it yet, but for example, the Black Panther album has Kendrick Lamar on almost every single song, and Kendrick Lamar is great, but at some point you're like, okay, he's been on every single song now, and he's not on every song in that album, but you know what I mean? It's nice to have a variety. So yeah, that's Suicide Squad, the album. I mean, it's probably pretty cheap now, given that the movie came out however long ago. So if you like any of the artists on it, you should pick it up because you'll probably like other stuff on there too. And definitely worth a listen, even if you didn't like the movie or haven't seen the movie. And I hope that the whole unscripted thing worked well for this. I can tell it's going to be a pain to edit the audio, but I think we're good. So I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.